As you know, I'm not the type of person that really likes brand new technology in cars. These Corolla hybrids, they're pretty new, but they really aren't as we look under the hood. Okay, does it look familiar? Well, it should, because it's a Toyota Prius. Basically, they decided to put a Corolla body on a Prius, engine, transmission. It's all Prius. Now, they've been making those things for over 20 years. They've sold millions of the things. It's pretty tried and true technology, especially if you buy a brand new one. Now, buying a used one with 200-something thousand miles on it, you're starting to gamble. Generator goes out, costs thousands and thousands. Batteries cost thousands and thousands. But brand new, these things come with a pretty good warranty, and it's Toyota quality from Prius. It's not like, okay, we just decided to make a Toyota Corolla hybrid. We started over. What if we screw up? No, it's just a Prius with a hybrid body on it. Because, if you think about it, people don't like the Prius. They got that tree hugger image. They want to be in a regular car. Well, guess what? This is a regular Toyota Corolla, only it's a hybrid. You can see, he's going to register in Tennessee, but he bought it in Colorado. He admits he drives like a maniac. He was driving 80 miles an hour coming here, right? But even at 80 miles an hour, he got 49 miles a gallon on the highway with the thing. Even driving like a maniac in town, he gets 54 miles a gallon in town because the hybrid regenerates some electricity. So, it is a phenomenally economical vehicle. And for the 23 grand he paid, man, this guy knows how to make a deal. Look around for deals like that. Don't accept what they tell you. There's a recession that's coming, right? Now, the last thing that companies do is lower their prices. They'll keep their prices high. If everyone out there refuses to pay those prices, the prices start coming down. For example, if you're a cheapskate like me and you're looking for a used car, you notice the wholesale price that businesses pay for the used cars has dropped a ton. They're not really lowering the asking price. So, guess what? Don't pay the asking price. If they can't sell them, too bad. They'll have to lower the price. That's the only way they can sell the things. Now the guys in Nashville on this new one refused to come under 30, so he took a trip to Colorado and paid 23. In one particular area, one car may not be as popular as it is in another. If you go where there's a bunch of rich people, they're not going to be driving Corollas. They're going to be buying Teslas because they got money and they're fools, right? And this guy's foolish because he got the LE. He says he didn't care about all the bells and whistles. If he wants them, he'll add them on him himself. You can do whatever you want later. Okay, these don't look bad, of course. They're just plastic hubcaps on a steel rim, but they look fine. Plus, if you're as cheap as I am, you love steel rims because you hit a curb, you bend the steel rim, you get a little sledgehammer, you can whack it back straight, it'll work fine. Guess what happens with an aluminum alloy rim? You hit the rim, you break the alloy rim, it might be $500 or $600 a piece. You'll wish you had steel rims then. There's a lot of stuff like that that you don't really need. If you want it later, go ahead and buy it. Just like a fancy stereo system, right? You're going to pay through the nose for, you know, Android CarPlay and all that crap. You can go out and buy an Android for $150 that does anything you want it to do. They're always ripping you for high-end extras in a car. Add them later. Now, as we go around, you can see it is a classic Corolla. It's an economy car, but they've really improved their interiors. We turn it on. Not ready to drive. The little Toyota screen comes on. You don't hear anything because it's in EV mode. So it's just electric. You won't hear anything. And it tells you EV there. Now, it doesn't have a sunroof. It's a base model. But, hey, these are very comfy seats. They're ergodynamic. It does have the electric parking brake. I don't like that, but they're making them all that way. So you got no choice. And as we look in the back, it's a typical Corolla economy car. I got this seat all the way back, and it's still got a little bit of room. You put them up, there's plenty of room in here. And it's got charge ports in the back. You can flip the seats down. Now we'll open up the trunk. Small car, big trunk. A lot of space in here. You'll notice what they're doing with all the cars now, and that is, there's no spare tires anymore. This guy's no fool. He signed up for roadside assistance on his insurance, so somebody else can come fix his flat tire. But if you're like me, make sure you got an air pump in your trunk and a repair kit in your toolkit. So if you get a nail, you can fix it. pull it out, put a plug in, and away you go. I just think it's kind of crazy not putting spare tires in. Come on, eventually something happens. You get a flat tire. It's nice to have something you can put on and drive it somewhere instead of waiting around because they didn't want to put a spare tire in the car. Of course, it's cheaper to make them that way. I got people bringing me $70,000 cars. They don't have a spare tire either. I don't know. Some of these manufacturers, I think they've lost their minds. Not only did this guy get a deal on the price, check it out. Made in Japan. My favorite. Now, with the average price of a new car in the United States being a tad short of $49,000, he paid less than half of this for the whole car that gets 49 miles a gallon on the highway, real driving at 80 miles an hour. I'll just hook this little scanner up here for a second to show you some of the complexity. And here we go, it's looking up stuff. Now, this has no code, so we're just gonna go through the powertrain. You can see engine control, hybrid control. It's got all kinds of data. And you want to talk about all kinds of hybrid data? Just the hybrid data. Check it out. 230 pieces of data. It will make your head spin. We're talking a complex machine. People may have talked about it before, but now you can see there is an insane amount of data in one of these things. All right, so we got to turn the park off. Got to push the button. I'm not a fan of that, but here we go. And now it's got a nice big screen. The other ones, they had pretty small screens. This is a nice screen. You can see quite well. There, hear it? Now the thing I find is that often confuses people. They don't know what the heck is coming down the road. It's a weird sound. But now we have an EV mode, so of course it isn't going to make much noise. But we're going to be going up a hill, so let's push it into drive mode. And they have upped the horsepower of this one. It is a little zippier than the original one. This is a 2023. This one has 138 horsepower. 138, you feel the difference. This is definitely faster than the older Corolla hybrid that I drove around. A lot of people complain the old ones are too slow. We step on the gas, hey, decent acceleration. Now there's somebody behind us, so this is gonna have to be a quick drag strip. We'll come to a quick stop, and then here we go. Makes a lot of noise, and it does accelerate. It's not bad. I mean, yes, it's not a race car, come on now, but it's got decent acceleration. Now you'll see we're going 50 miles an hour. We'll see what happens when we floor it. It isn't bad. It definitely will pull out of traffic on the highway to pass people. I'm driving like a maniac, and it's still getting 48.9 miles a gallon. And if you're into technology, you can push this crazy button here that'll self-cruise and drive itself. It says adaptive, active, pay attention to other vehicles. It's warning you, but we'll let it drive around itself a little and see what happens. It's staying right in front, and it sees the guy in front of us, so look what it's doing. It's slowing itself down by itself. That is pretty cool, I gotta say. Hey, all this for 23 grand. Old Elon, look what Toyota's doing. Nice stop signs too. There's a stop sign that's telling you. Ooh, this car's smart, I'm telling you. We're going too fast because the speed limit here is only 25. A brand new 2023 Corolla hybrid the guy got for 23 grand by traveling from Nashville to Colorado, where he got that price. He gets that kind of gas mileage, 49 on the highway, 54 in town. They definitely have a lot more oomph. They were underpowered, they made a lot of noise. But that's Toyota for you. They take feedback and use it. So what do? They added more horsepower to this. It's more fun to drive. They aren't software dudes who decide, we're gonna make electric cars for the world. They take their manufacturing seriously. As I showed you with my little scan tool, the technology on these things will blow your mind away. But it's really just a Toyota Prius, everything except for the body. You're getting a little bit lower gas mileage than the Prius because this isn't as aerodynamic as a Prius, but it's also a lot better looking too. 2022 Maverick. We're going to go through it, tell you what's good, what's bad, what you might want to pick. For Ford, this is a pretty revolutionary vehicle. They were going to sell these things for set under 20 grand. He paid 29 for this, but it's loaded. It's got the optional engine. He has the 2-liter regular engine. He didn't get the hybrid. My advice, I would go with the regular engine because hybrids, as they age, they can cost a fortune. And if these things do hold true, like regular Fords, F-150s, Rangers, and they go 10, 15, 20 years, you really don't want to have a 20-year-old hybrid that's going to cost you a fortune. This doesn't have the expensive hybrid battery. It doesn't have all that technology. What it does have is a 2-liter EcoBoost engine. It's a 4-cylinder inline. You can see it's got gasoline direct injection on it, and it's got a turbocharger on it. But this is pretty tried technology now, 2022. You paid extra for this, it's an option. If you get the standard one, it comes with a 2.5 liter Atkinson engine, which is a more complex engine, and from my experience, nobody knows how to work on them. And if you blow a head gasket, it costs a fortune, where on these, they're just plain old engines. And any mechanic that knows how to work on them can work on these things. That's pretty much what people want a Ford for. A Ford that they can get fixed when they need to, wherever, and not have to worry about, geez, nobody knows how to work on these things that cost a fortune. You're better with the simpler system, the non-hybrid system. Now, it's not like this is a gas hog. He's getting about 25 miles a gallon driving it around town. And understand one thing, this is radical for Ford because this is a front-wheel drive pickup truck. It is not rear-wheel drive like an F-150. Front-wheel drives are inherently more efficient, and since the engine and the transmission is in the front, and so are the drive wheels, you can generally get away without having to buy snow tires in the winter. If you live in some really wacko place, Alaska or northern Minnesota, you probably want to put snow tires on the front. But the front is pulling. It's much more efficient to pull a vehicle than it is to push a vehicle. You know, the old pickup trucks, those back wheels would spin like mad, slide all over because what's in the back? There's no weight. In this case, all the weight, the engine and the transmission, is on the drive wheels. And a soldier who owns this says it's one of the best driving vehicles he ever got. I've driven them. We're going to take this one for a ride in a few minutes, but they do handle much better being front wheel drive. And since it's not a full frame truck, this wasn't meant to tow tons and to carry 8 tons of stuff. It's meant for a regular little drive and pickup. The unibody construction, of course, weighs less. There's no frame, so it has a tendency of handling better. It rides more like a car than like a truck because of that design. Now, these Tacomas, like my son's old Tacoma, hey, they can run forever, but they ride like trucks. They don't ride all that well. Well, it's got a full frame on it. I mean, this Ford Maverick is pretty much a car truck. It's more drivable. And of course, because of its size, it's a relatively short bed, but it's still got a nice bed on it. You can still fit a lot of stuff in there. And you can put 1,500 pounds in the back. So it can do work. You know, it's not an F-150 for hauling monster-sized things, but for a little truck, it does generally what it was designed for. I like the gray color, but unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about where they make them because these are all made in Mexico. As we look around, they're not really telling you that. Believe me, they're all put together in Mexico. They get to be kind of stinky. You got to decipher the VIN to figure out exactly, but all of these are made in Mexico. Kind of sleazy though that they don't say. It just says Ford Motor Company. It doesn't tell you. They should have to say on the sticker, if you ask me. That kind of reminds me of my Triumph motorcycle, right? The English motorcycle. Well, I bought one. It's a late model one, right? And they got British flags on everything. And then I'm like, I wonder where this was made. Doesn't say anything. It just says Triumph, Great Britain. Well, when you decipher the VIN, it turns out it was made in Thailand. Actually, though, the Thais do better work than the British do, so it worked out better. It's never had any problems, right? It's a modern one. It's not an old-fashioned one. But they should at least say where they're made, you know, not try to pretend. These are all made in Mexico. They make a lot of cars down in Mexico for Ford because the labor's cheaper. Just realize a lot of the parts come from the United States, and in the case of this Maverick, these particular 2-liter engines haven't had any real problems, unlike some of the Broncos, where they made the V6 engines wrong and they were eating valves, and they have to replace them on cars that have 15,000 miles. Not that many miles. Now, they got to replace them under warranty, but could you imagine if you had bought one and the engine went out that fast? These 2-liter ones, that's why I advise people to get the 2-liter. The 2-liter ones are regular engines. They're not Atkinson cycle engines. It's not a hybrid setup. If you get the standard one, it's an Atkinson cycle hybrid. Extremely complex things that a lot of guys do not know how to work on. This is the one, if you're going to be somewhere and keep it for years, where you want guys that around you can fix the things, they can fix these a lot easier than they can fix the hybrids and the Atkinson engines. I've had so many people with Atkinson engines of various manufacturers. Toyota makes them too. When they break, nobody will fix them. Or the dealer will say things like, well, it needs a head gasket and that's going to be $5,000. Well, $5,000 for a head gasket is kind of ridiculous because the head gasket is less than $100. You're better with paying extra for this 2-liter turbo engine than you are buying the Atkinson hybrid one, which is the standard one, which costs less. Compact in the front, but hey, the back seat actually has quite a bit of room. You got a tach, temperature gauge, fuel gauge, and speedometer. You got all kinds of controls on your steering wheel. Now it doesn't have a sunroof. I hate those things anyway. I find them annoying. Nice size glove box. Controls, easy to access. All the controls have pictures on them, so it's easy to tell. You want head, you want feet, it's right there. Safety features. Ford calls it Copilot 360. You're ready to hit somebody, automatically brakes. There's all kinds of technology involved in these things. Sure, it is a compact truck on a lower line, but it's kind of surprising the stuff that it has for the price that you get. Like I said, he bought the fancier one here, and he paid like $29,000 for it. Originally, they were supposed to sell them for $20,000, but that's the basic one. This isn't the basic one. This is the fancier one. In that price range, you're still well below. The average car in the United States these days is pushing 50 G's. So for 29, we'll see what you get when we take it for a ride. Now the owner doesn't care about the electric shifting, neither do I, or the electric parking brake. I don't go for that crap either. But, I mean, that's just how things are these days. Everything's computerized. The standard wheels, but they look nice. These engines are a little bit noisy. That's because they're GDI. A lot of times they make a little bit more noise than the normal vehicle does. You don't hear it in the vehicle, but you certainly hear it down here. So let's take it for a spin. I do like the look. It's got a nice headlight setup on it. It's got a nice backup camera, I gotta say. We need it here. We got the cement lions. People are knocking them over all the time. Now as you ride around, it's a nice compact truck. It's got nice height to it. It's not outrageously high, but got a nice height to it. But like I said, in a regular pickup truck, I'd be worrying about sliding all over the place in the rain. This thing handles quite well. And you got front wheel drive, and this unibody construction, lighter weight. It really handles more like a car than a truck. And that's all down to the front wheel drive, really. And for a pickup truck, hey, it's pretty quiet. I always worried about Mexican quality when they put them together, but really, in this thing, I don't hear any rattles yet. We get going to our little drag strip here. You can see it says Sport there. So here we are at our little drag strip, and there's nobody behind us, so we can stop. And ready, set, go! It's spinning those tires! Hey! I'm impressed! That's another reason that I tell people you probably like the 2-liter better, because it's actually got quite a bit better acceleration. It's more fun to drive. And like I said, just driving around town, he's still getting 25 miles a gallon. And for a truck, that's good gas mileage. Now, you might wonder why the wheels were spinning. Well, we put it in sport mode and turn off the traction control, so it's more fun to drive. You want to have fun? If you're into safety, leave it on. You lose a little bit of acceleration, but this isn't like the Shelby Cobra that I had years ago that was total insanity when you put it in drag strip mode, which you're only supposed to do on a drag strip, and not in the city, but of course everybody does. For a little truck, hey, it's got plenty of passing zip. Look at that, no problem at all. Now, he does agree with me. He doesn't like the start-stop function. You can turn it off if you want every time that you come to a stop. I don't particularly like that technology because when you start your car, 90-something% of the wear occurs during startup. Do you really want to keep starting and stopping your car? Starting and stopping your car. They can BS all they want about saying, we put stronger rods in it and stronger this, that. Baloney. The batteries wear out faster. The starters wear out faster. So really, if you want your car to last, just make it a habit every time you get in it. Turn the start-stop option off. Just push it so it doesn't come on. You got to do it every time you start the car, but really, your car will thank you for it. It'll last longer. And yeah, the tiny bit of gas that you save, hey, you know how much money an engine costs? Thousands and thousands of gallons of gasoline, that's what it costs. Now I rolled the window down, get a little air in. It's not too noisy. And like I say, this thing really handles quite well. I gotta say, it's interesting. Not shaking at all. It is a smooth running vehicle. Now, when they first made them in Mexico, they were in a real rush because they were behind schedule. And the early ones, there were like 7 recalls, which isn't that much. Take the Explorers. When they first came out, there were like 17 recalls the first year. Now, obvious ones you would tell. They don't have it on this one, but some of the earlier ones, you smell gasoline, because when they put the liners in the back, they drilled holes into the gas tanks and made a hole in the gas tank. You would smell it. They had to fix all of those, right? And they had recalls for software issues and normal stuff, but unlike the Broncos with those V6 engines that are exploding because the valves are wrong, they haven't had engine problems with these. Now, like I say, I like the 2-liter because it's a simpler engine. I'm not a fan of either hybrids or Atkinson engines. Yes, they're efficient. They get good gas mileage. At that level of complexity, if you're the type of person who often buys Ford pickups, you want them to last 10, 15, 20 years or more. Hundreds of thousands of miles. The hybrids and the Atkinson cycle engines are prohibitively expensive to fix when they do break down. This one isn't. This is a plain engine, just a 4-cylinder inline 2-liter engine. So it's a lot easier to work on. They have less problems in the long run, and you don't have to deal with a very expensive hybrid battery. It's just got a normal battery in it. So really, if you're thinking about buying one of these, I'd say pay the extra and get an XLT. The standard ones with the hybrid and the Atkinson cycle engines, yeah, they get a little bit better gas mileage, but at what cost? Well, the same size inside, and you can see there's decent room in the back for a family. And sure, Ford originally touted they're going to make a pickup truck for under 20. Well, this one was still under 30 with all the options on it. So, hey, it's not that bad when you compare what's out there, what you're going to pay for other vehicles. You get a front-wheel drive pickup truck that really has a nice ride to it. It's a radical change for Ford, having a front-wheel drive pickup. And I gotta say, in terms of how it rides, they hit the nail on the head with this. It really does ride well. It rides much more like a car than like a truck. If you're one of those people that have been in pickup trucks in the past and says, "I don't want a pickup truck, it rides like crap," hey, okay, this guy's wife loves this thing because it rides nuts. If my wife got in a pickup truck, she'd probably go, "Oh, I'm not going to ride in another one of those," because in the past, Ford used to give me vehicles, lots of trucks, to road test, right? They give me it for a week. And finally my wife said, "Don't ever point in the other one of those Ford trucks. They ride like crap. I'm too high up in the air. I don't like it at all." She wouldn't drive them. She didn't even like riding in them. But in a vehicle like this, it's another story. It's a range of trucks that, hey, might be like another Model T from Ford, something that they can sell a whole bunch of, as long as the quality remains up there. They are made in Mexico. We'll see what happens over time. This is a brand new vehicle, right? If you get something like this, you gotta change the oil every 5,000 miles with full synthetic oil. You gotta take care of it. Turbos need to be lubricated. They use the same oil. Make sure you change your oil every 5,000 miles, and they can last a long time. You can't treat it like an old V8 Ford where you're gonna be, "Oh, well, I'll change oil every 10,000 miles. It's a V8, it'll just keep going." No, you gotta take more care of these engines. But considering the much better gas mileage they get and the better ride, you might be happy if you're looking for a small pickup truck. It's a brand new 2023 Toyota 4Runner 40th anniversary. As you can see from the door, the plaque, it is one of 4,040 made. 4-wheel drive, you can go high-speed 2-wheel drive, high-speed 4-wheel drive, low-speed 2-wheel drive. As you can see, it's my favorite. It is made in Japan. It's an actual 5-speed automatic transmission, not one of those crappy CVTs. As we look under the hood, it's got struts too, but the main thing's the engine. It is a V6 engine with timing chain, and it is normally aspirated. It is not turbocharged. Now, they only made 4,040 of these. He paid $49,000 for this car. That's what they go for if you can find one. Being a 4Runner, I'm sure it'll hold its value. They always hold their value because they're solid vehicles. They said made in Japan. As you can see, they are full frame vehicles. These are serious vehicles. They're not flimsy unibody construction. The frame is separate, the body's bolted on with these giant bolts. As I said, there's no turbos, there's no hybrid on this thing. It is what somebody wants when they want a 4-wheel drive Toyota vehicle that can go all over the place and last for years and years. This gets 19 miles a gallon on a highway. You might say, "Oh, that's horrible gas mileage." Not for what it is, because if you remember the video I made a few weeks ago, a guy from Toyota brought me a brand new Tundra, and it's the one that went from the V8 to a twin turbo V6, and this particular one he brought was also a hybrid. He got 19 miles a gallon. So this thing, it doesn't have the turbos, it doesn't have the boost from hybrid system that Tundra had. They're both 2023s, right? But it gets the same gas mileage. Now, of course, this weighs less than the Tundra, but they're both full frames. They can both tow a lot of stuff. And you see the difference in gas economy? It's baloney. Anybody that thinks this twin turbo hybrid stuff is going to save you money in gas is nuts, because in the real world, it just doesn't. This has plenty of torque for pulling, for going around with just the plain old V6 engines. And from what I've read, unfortunately, in the future, they're going to be putting the stupid 4-cylinder turbos in these things, which as far as I'm concerned is a big mistake. But hey, that's politics and the auto industry, where they're all sheep following each other around. Yeah, you gotta admit, it's a beautiful vehicle. Look at it. We'll check out the inside. First, we'll close the door. Man, that's solid. Let's start her up. Now let's push start. They're all that way these days. And of course, all the bells and whistles, heated seats, 5-speed automatic transmission that you can also shift manually. Check it out. The screen here, it's built in. It looks good. It isn't like some of the Toyotas where they got that stupid screen that sticks up over the top, blocking part of the windscreen. This was obviously designed for the vehicle. And as we look, everything's easy to read. Clear, white, black, and red. You can see those colors really easily. A really wide angle, high resolution backup camera. Got a sunroof. And of course, lots of room in the back. Nice big trunk. My favorite, it has a real emergency brake, people. Not an electronic piece of crap, an actual physical one. Also has power knockoffs, 120 volts. Push the button. We can open the back window for groceries. Love it, a simple AC system. Fan on, AC, turn it to where you want it. Not 18 million buttons to push to go here or there. It's simple. And you want to change the temperature? Look, here it is, right here. Very simple. Hot over here, cold over here. I like something that is simple and not complex. Even check this, the radio. And it's got a tuning scroll like a regular radio. Of course, it's got traction control, which you can turn on or off. Collision avoidance system. Now, as we get ready to drive it, you can see it's real shiny. Well, it's kind of a funny story behind that. The guy's buying it, and they said that, oh, well, we're going to charge you $1,000 for the ceramic coating that we're going to put on it, right? And the guy said, no, I don't want to pay for that. And they said, well, we already put it on. He said, well, too bad, I'm not paying for it. And he argued enough, and he got it free. Who knows what they did, sprayed on it, whatever. I mean, it looks good now. But the point that they told him it was going to be that, and they didn't ask him, well, that's just too bad, isn't it? That's the way it used to be in my grandfather's day and in my day. You ask someone if they want something, you don't put it on and then ask them, because maybe they don't want it, right? And you can't take it off once it's on. Most of that stuff's a scam anyways, but he was smart enough. He didn't pay the $1,000 extra. I'll take it for a spin, see how it goes. Put on a little AC because it's starting to get warm. And like I said before, it's got a good backup camera. Now, the first thing you notice, it's nice and high up in the air. Nice smooth takeoff from the normally aspirated V6 engine. Pretty quiet ride, and it handles quite well. That's just stuff in the back seat moving around. It's fun to drive. Now realize, yes, it is a full frame truck chassis, so it's solid. It's not going to ride as smooth as a unibody construction does, but for what this is, it's going to run forever. That frame's going to last forever, and you can just keep driving this thing. It's not uncomfortable at all. It's just, of course, not at a par with SUVs that are unibody construction with all their fancy suspension systems. This is basically the best of both worlds of a pickup truck turned into an SUV. What the original 4Runners were. The original ones looked just like a pickup truck that somebody stuck a couple of doors on instead of having a bed. A little drag strip. Here we go. We got them 2-wheel high. Now realize this is a pretty heavy vehicle. It's solid. That's what makes them last so long. So, nobody behind us. We'll floor it. Here we go. But it takes off nicely. 5-speed tranny, shifting good under full load. Makes a nice sound too. No problem accelerating, a nice smooth ride on the road. And we'll get it going about 50. And then we'll floor it and see what passing gear would be like. We'll floor it. You can see it picks up nicely. Plenty of power for passing. Totally stable. Let go of the wheel, look at it. Track's perfect. And really, for a four-wheel drive SUV based on a truck chassis, it rides quite fine. Like I say, it's not like a Lexus SUV with a fancy suspension system. It's still based on a truck chassis, but you can take these things anywhere, and they generally last forever. Their resale values are insane. The only downfall is they use up a lot of gas, but anything this big uses up a lot of gas. Like I said, the guy with the Tundra only got 19 miles a gallon, and it had twin turbo and hybrid system to boost it, and it got the same gas mileage this thing does on a highway. Like about the dash is it got everything you want, but it doesn't overwhelm you with all kinds of crap being thrown at your face. It's just like a regular old car. Tachometer, speedometer, gas gauge, fuel gauge, and then other information when you want. You can push buttons to get to it, but it's not overpowering you with technology. And check it out, it isn't turning itself off at a stoplight. I hate that stop start crap. Hey, this isn't doing that. Nice controlled turns. If you're looking for an SUV that can last forever, and you got $49,000 or more, hey, it's probably a pretty good pick, because it's normally aspirated, no turbo, no hybrid system, no regenerating brakes for electricity, things that are going to break down when they get old. This is a basic vehicle that probably will go just like the other 4Runners did. That's how they sell millions of these things. They run forever. People don't care about gas mileage to buy these. They want something they can go wherever they want. It's always going to start up. It's going to run. Try to find a used one. You're going to see how expensive they are. They hold their values. Probably better than any other Toyota. All around, it's an extremely stable vehicle. You feel high enough, but not overly high. And you feel totally safe driving around on one of these things. The handling is fine. You want to fiddle around, you don't lose control, and it just feels solid being on that actual frame. Now, I did find one big problem with this 4Runner, and it's this: they only made 4,040 of them. The millions of vehicles that Toyota has built, only 4,040 people can buy these. So if you're looking for one, good luck. They're not that easy to get your hands on. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.